There is some chatter that Spider-Man 4 is happening. Can we confirm this tonight?
It's happening.
This is insane! Spider-Man Brand New Day could already be the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time.
If you showed someone from the past this picture, you would have them believing that Spider-Man was real.
Can we talk about the actual aura Spider-Man just possessed all of a sudden?
That is Spider-Man!
Spider-Man Brand New Day. As you probably know by now, Spider-Man Brand New Day has officially started filming in Glasgow. The film is being directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who also directed Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, so it's safe to say we're going to get some pretty cool action scenes. The film is set to release on the 31st of July 2026. Now I'm just going to go ahead and say it. What a time to be alive as a Spider-Man fan. The past week, the craze for this film has gone from 0 to 100 very quickly, as Marvel themselves began the hype by releasing a first official look at Tom Holland in the new Spider-Man suit, and it looks absolutely beautiful. In my opinion, hands down the best Spider-Man suit we have ever gotten. Obviously, there's clear inspiration from Andrew Garfield's The Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit in terms of the style itself, and it's the first time we've gotten raised webbing for a Tom Holland Spider-Man suit. I think I speak for everyone when I say thank God we are past the nanotech suits. Finally, we're back to the trusty old sewing kit. Although it does look like the suit will still have the moving eye lenses, which personally I'm pretty happy about. It gives Tom Spidey a nice touch and is something that's unique to him, so I'm not complaining. Oh, and the web shooters as well being silver and big and on the outside of the suit, just like the comics. Perfect. Days after the official suit reveal, filming started, and the suit was seen on set for the very first time in all of its glory. Over 50 streets were shut for production, and fans were able to gather around and watch. And with that, we've obviously been graced online with some amazing set photos and videos, including the filming of a big action sequence and videos of Tom meeting fans. That is Spider-Man. That is literally Spider-Man in real life. Now, alongside all of those glorious set photos, we also have leaks that the film will include both the Punisher and the Hulk, meaning we're eating good. Now, obviously, the elephant in the room kind of needs to be addressed. Why the heck is Professor Hulk going to be in this movie, other than to provide some of his amazingly entertaining brain rot? Well, here's where it gets juicy, because wait for it, we're getting the real Hulk back. But how is this the case, you ask? Well, to answer that incredible question, the rumors so far in terms of plot suggest that none other than Mr. Negative will make his MCU debut and will use his powers to corrupt the Hulk, turning him into Savage Hulk. Obviously, take this rumor with a grain of salt, but to be fair, it does seem like this could be true, as set photos have shown logos that look very similar to Mr. Negative's crime organization, the Inner Demons. So it's definitely likely that Martin Lee will be in this movie. However, on the flip side, the Punisher has also been confirmed to have his own tank in the movie, so it is also very likely that this is a new Punisher logo after those corrupt cops kinda stole the original logo and tainted it. This is something that has happened in the comics before, where Frank Castle has rebranded himself, so it's very possible. The overarching plot as it stands has Spider-Man, Punisher and Hulk all fighting one another until coming to the realization of who the real villains are in the story. In other words, it's going to be peak cinema, ladies and gents. We have one. It's also being speculated that the Scorpion will finally make his MCU return with a comic accurate suit, as if it couldn't get any better. While the movie isn't directly based off of the Spider-Man Brand New Day comic book, and obviously like most MCU films won't follow the exact same story, there are some very clear similarities and inspiration from the original source material. The comic takes place after the Civil War storyline, where Spider-Man reveals his identity to the world, which later gets solved in the One More Day storyline, where everyone forgets the man under the mask. That is obviously similar to what happened in Spider-Man No Way Home. In MCU fashion, it does look like elements of the comics will show up, but it does look like it will be a primarily original storyline. One thing that is guaranteed is that it will be a much more grounded Spider-Man story compared to what we're used to in the MCU, which is exactly what Spider-Man has needed and what fans have wanted for a long time now. I kind of hope we get the recreation of the moment in the comics where Hulk tells Peter he remembers him. I feel like there's no way they don't do this in the movie. Like, it just makes so much sense. Even though they haven't really had many interactions in the MCU, it still would be cool. What a moment that would be for Peter to know he's not fully alone. I just know that would hit hard. Through set photos, it looks like the movie will take place in the year 2027. Now, not to bore you with the maths, but Peter was 17 years old in Spider-Man No Way Home, which was set in 2024, meaning he'll likely be around the 20 years old mark. This is kind of interesting to me because based on the current speculations, it does look like Peter will be in college. However, I'm not too sure if he'll already be a few years into college or if he'll just be starting. I managed to find a Reddit post that could be the explanation for this situation. The post explains how, at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, we can see a GED book in the box Peter is holding while moving into his apartment, which basically means that Peter is most likely studying for his diploma, which is needed to get into college. This is essentially because there was no record of him finishing high school due to the spell that erased him from public knowledge. So with that, it kind of makes sense that Peter would start college 3 years after he was meant to graduate high school, as in the meantime, he'd be studying to get in. We do know for sure that Ned and MJ both got into MIT, that was confirmed at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, but I personally think it makes a lot more sense for Peter to end up at Empire State University, just like the comics. This could easily open up the possibility of Peter meeting the MCU's version of Gwen Stacy and Harry Osborn at ESU, once again, just like he does in the comics. Even though I do kind of doubt that they will have a version of Gwen Stacy in the MCU 616 universe, as they kind of already did her story perfectly in the TASM movies. However, it'd still be pretty cool to see a version of the character in the MCU. As for who could play them, I know that there's a lot of fan casts for these characters, including Emma Myers as Gwen Stacy, and I know that a lot of people don't particularly like this casting, but I seriously do think that Timothée Chalamet would make a fantastic Harry Osborn. His acting skills are obviously undeniable, and he just has this essence about him, and I do think he'd fit perfectly with Tom Holland's Peter Parker. Also, they already did my #1 pick for Harry Osborn in the Spider-Man 2 games, but hey Marvel, if you want to bring him back, just do it. Like, I'm not going to complain. Oh, and yeah, Sadie Sink was casted in the movie earlier on this year, and there's a lot of speculation as to who she could be playing. Obviously, Mary Jane Watson would make sense as she's a redhead, but considering we already have Michelle Jones Watson, which is canon to the MCU, I kind of doubt that. Carly Cooper is another one who was Peter Parker's girlfriend for a short period of time in the One More Day comic storyline, is also another option. And to be fair, it's the most likely. As we all probably know by now, Kingpin is the mayor of New York City, as seen in Daredevil Born Again, which takes place in 2026. But will he show up in Spider-Man Brand New Day? Or will Daredevil defeat Kingpin in Daredevil Born Again Season 2, as we assume takes place before Spider-Man Brand New Day, as it's set to release in March 2026. If he isn't dethroned in Daredevil Born Again Season 2, then I don't really know how the mayor of New York City isn't going to be a part of Brand New Day, especially considering the fact that he literally hates masked superheroes and has even mentioned Spidey before. I will admit the timeline does look pretty confusing right now, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that one. But the other question is, will Daredevil himself show up as well? Hey, he showed up in the previous Spider-Man movie and we've waited so long for that superhero team up, so come on Sony, just give it to us. You deprived us of it in Born Again, so it's time to pay us. Jacob Batalon, the actor who plays Ned Leeds, did comment under Tom Holland's post about the start of production, but I honestly wouldn't be mad if they kept their involvement to a minimum for this one. Daniel RPK, who is the biggest movie insider, has said MJ will play a significant role in the movie but won't get much screen time. With the inevitable consequences that are going to come in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, it kind of would make sense to just keep Peter away from them until after the Avengers movies have concluded and things have hopefully gone back to normal, somewhat normal at least, unless they just, you know, like kill everyone off. I think showing Peter all on his own with like no money whatsoever would add that layer to Tom Holland's Peter Parker that has been missing. It could also obviously open up the door for him to work at the Daily Bugle, which just needs to be done. Like, how else is Pete gonna afford that apartment? The interactions between Peter and J. Jonah Jameson would be so good as well, because Pete knows firsthand already how much JJJ just hates him. Now for my personal expectations for the film. First of all, do we get to witness what Peter saw inside the Sentry's void? Bro was definitely tweaking considering all the stuff he's gone through. I feel like they at least gotta mention it. More importantly, I am praying that Marvel give us some good swinging scenes. It's no secret that Tom hasn't exactly had the best swinging scenes out of the 3 Spider-Man. They always seem to save them till the very end of the movie, but us fans, like, we need more. I'm not just talking 30 seconds of a swing. I'm saying give me 3 straight minutes of Tom just soaring through the city like we've never seen in live action before. They are indeed currently filming some swinging scenes, meaning we're finally going back to practical rather than CGI. Practical always looks better than CGI. And we've seen Destin Daniel Cretton's credentials with the choreography in Shang Chi. That's exactly what we need from Spider-Man as he swings from building to building. Couple that with some gorgeous cinematography, and dude, this could easily be the best Spider-Man movie ever made just from the swinging alone. I think what this movie is going to benefit from the most is the grounded aspect. A grounded, street-level Spider-Man has been promised, and if Marvel and Sony make this their priority, then it will be a hit amongst the fans. This is the perfect time for Peter's genius to be on full display. He's got no more Stark tech to help him anymore, it's all up to him now. And let's face it, that's the way it should be. I hope he proves to us just how smart he is, pulling out all those last-minute problem-solving skills just like the comics. Oh, and speaking of the comics, we need more of that sarcastic, witty quippiness that Spider-Man is known for. Andrew nailed this perfectly in his movie. Now it's Tom's time to shine. We already know he's got the jokes, but I'm gonna need to see him hit the biggest rage bait of all time on the Hulk. Just imagine the scene. Spidey is honestly top 10 rage baiters of all time, like he pretty much created the art of rage bait. And you already know his comedic prodding is gonna annoy the hell out of Frank Castle. At first, I didn't actually like the idea of having both the Punisher and the Hulk in a Spider-Man movie, for the simple reason that standalone comic book movies don't really seem to do very well when there's a lot of characters to deal with, obviously unless they're team-up movies like the Avengers and X-Men, for example. However, when I started to think of the film like a comic book, the idea of these 3 characters crossing over became way more exciting to me. When a character randomly shows up in a comic book, you kind of just nod your head and say hell yeah, why not? They're in the same universe, why wouldn't they be involved? Superhero movies often forget that part as well. Sometimes a threat to the entire planet will dawn over the earth, and some superheroes will just randomly go into hiding. The Hulk and the Punisher are already well-established characters within the MCU, so Marvel doesn't need to worry about focusing on introducing them to us and giving them a fully fleshed out character arc within the movie, which would be needed if we'd never seen the characters in the MCU before. And obviously with the plot leaks, we know it's not just random appearances for the sake of it. It doesn't seem like they're just going to be cameos. It looks like they're actually going to be integral parts to the story, and it's pretty difficult to do them wrong as we already know the deal with the Hulk and the Punisher. With that being said, I do hope they stick with Spider-Man as the main focus, as it is his movie. I want to see it from the perspective of Peter more so than any other character. I want to see him saving civilians and being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that we know and love, doing all he can to make the streets of New York safe. I want that essence that we got in the Superman film. Spider-Man as well is the embodiment of hope, so little scenes where he's helping the cat that got stuck in the tree would just hit so hard, as the scale of Spider-Man movies have been big and grand for a long time now. It's time Peter acknowledges that the city needs him the most, and Pete can return to the larger duty of saving the world in Avengers Doomsday. Speaking of, how does Spider-Man Brand New Day tie in to Avengers Doomsday? And will Spidey even show up in that movie? As of right now, Tom Holland was not one of the actors confirmed in the big chair reveal livestream for Avengers Doomsday. Going off what we know, Avengers Doomsday is going to lead directly into Secret Wars, but it's still unclear as to when Doomsday is set in the timeline. And it's very possible that Brand New Day and Doomsday could take place at the exact same time in the timeline, with Spidey handling the threats on Earth, while the main Avengers deal with Doctor Doom in a more cosmic battle. Question is Spider-Man still considered one of the Avengers by the likes of Sam Wilson, Captain America? It was Peter's identity that was erased, but we still don't 100% know the implications that had on the Spider-Man persona as well. If it genuinely is the case that Spidey isn't a part of Avengers Doomsday, I'm gonna hazard a guess that he'll play a big key role in Secret Wars, as Peter's inevitably going to end up on Battleworld like everyone else. Because let's face it, knowing the Secret Wars storyline from the comic, it's pretty evident that Doctor Doom is going to beat the Avengers in Doomsday. What I do know for sure is the Spider-Man Brand New Day end credit scene is going to go crazy, and I cannot wait to see Peter's reaction to an all too familiar face, if you know what I mean. I don't think you fully understand how good it is to be a comic book fan right now. Thunderbolts, banger. Superman, banger. Fantastic Four First Steps, banger. Spider-Man Brand New Day,